You're listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson, the podcast that tells you what it really takes to build a business and the simple steps to get you there. I'm determined to share with you the reality of easy, simple business marketing tips to make passive income so that you can start making money online. Making Money Online is sponsored by Nicola J. Rowley PR, helping entrepreneurs and brands get visible through strategic storytelling. If you're serious about being seen and impacting the lives of others, harnessing the power of PR is the best way to grow and scale your business. Visit njrpr.com for more details and read Nicola's best-selling book, The Power of PR. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm excited today to talk about something that has happened to me and that happens to a lot of my clients as well, and that's how to get out of debt. And I particularly love the guest that we've got on today because she was in £50,000 worth of debt, and with accountability, with consistency, and with a plan, she managed to get out of that in a relatively short space of time. So I want to introduce you to Niki Matyjasik, who supports businesses from startup right the way to six figures on a number of different things. So welcome to the podcast, Niki.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Let's just start at the beginning. Like, how did you get into that debt?
Gosh, so I was in the corporate world, the buyer and a project manager for quite a number of years. And I worked for a retailer and they were taken over in a merger, bought out in a merger. And my husband got made redundant. And I continued to be in that corporation. But despite him being made redundant, we continued to live in the same way. So it was because he'd had a payout and things. It was like, actually, we just continue to live our lives like we had when we were both there as buyers, as retail buyers. And I think slowly but surely, that's where it all started to build up.
Yeah, same with mine. That's exactly how it was, because when you're used to living a certain way, you don't realize what you're spending on a kind of day-to-day basis. And also, I had kids and I went through a divorce and I still had to buy things. I still had to do the same things. And it took a knock. And actually it builds up slowly. So at first you think, it's just a few £1,000s. I'll be able to pay that off as soon as, I get a partner or get a job or any of those different things. And then suddenly you look back and it's much bigger than you expected it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that all happened before we had children. So then our daughter came along and, he was out of jobs for a while and I had to go back to work like earlier than expected. It just all had a knock-on effect. And then we lost our second baby. So I think, again, through all the grief and it just slowly built and built and built. So we had life impacts, if you like, which obviously weren't expected, but, it just built and built from there, really.
Yeah. And so at what point did you kind of go, no, I need to do something?
Oh, gosh. So I came across a certain business coach actually in the network that I was working in, and she could see absolutely, I confided in her, really. I confided in where I was at and what was going on. And she could see, when you have that situation where someone believes in you and you've got to kind of steal that belief from them and yourself before you get it. But she could absolutely see in me what I was capable of. And we got together to work on a plan to help me build the business to get out of that, essentially. So I definitely remember that point where I invested in her and thought, I have no idea how I'm going to pay for this. But with the kickstart of a plan that she helped me with, I could then start to pay her every month. So that's where that was the changing point for me of I had someone come into my life that I could trust and they could support me to build a plan.
Yeah, it's often the way. And you had left corporate by this point, or you were thinking about leaving?
Oh God, I was out.
You're out. You didn't enjoy corporate, like many of us. You did not enjoy being in corporate.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a massive amount. I learned masses, but oh my goodness, it just wasn't for me.
So you started your business, and what was your first business that you started? What were you helping people with?
Yeah, so initially my business was called Business Buddy, and I was really supporting businesses on that day-to-day tasks and actions and just helping them identify that first and foremost, and helping them have a plan of action together. And then that slowly built into the accountability measures and so on to where I am today. But that's initially where I started out. So helping really, really small businesses.
Yeah, because this is the thing, like we can help. People often say things to me like, but if you can do that for yourself, how come you can do it for others? But when you're in the bottle, you can't see the label. And this is why I still have coaches now, because yes, I can do strategy and I can help people make a plan. And, I've helped thousands of people make money from businesses. But when it comes to me, I often can't see the shortfalls. I can't see what I can't see. I can't see the gaps. And you're very good. I've seen how you work and you're very good at especially the accountability piece. I think you're brilliant with accountability for people and people need that. And you're really consistent. And so I can see how you would be able to help people with those things right from the beginning. Did you enjoy doing that?
For a time, yeah. I think, but as I'm sure you can relate to as well, you just you grow out of each stage of the business, don't you, that you're offering.
You evolve. Yeah.
That's the word, evolve. So absolutely, I had across all my business, stages where I'm right, there's only so much of this I can do now. And that's where the service and what I was offering then evolved and, prices changed and such like. But yeah, I soon grew out of working with clients in that way.
And when you first started making money from, when you first started helping people, the money started coming in, was it amazing to think, I'm going to be able to pay off this?
Yeah, of course, it only feels like it is quite slow to begin with. So I really had to put myself on a consistent, I think it was like an 18-month, 2-year plan initially, but I knew that literally by chipping away at it month in, month out, that would get to that end result. So I was really, really clear on that end goal at the end of I think it was 2 years.
It's brilliant, though, isn't it? When
starting to chip away at it.
I love it when you get to that last payment and you're like, that's it. Now this money is my money. It's not going on to anyone.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think, even being self-employed and running a business, it then made, just the figures more credible. So if, we were remortgaging and things like that, you just had that, oh gosh, safety net, if you want to call it that, but you had that credibility of, oh, it's okay, I can be accepted now rather than rejected on this next remortgage or whatever.
Yeah, and that's really important actually for people that have those big plans of what they want to do with their life. I think when people are in debt, and especially when they work in business and they've been in debt, they often don't talk about it because, you worry about what people might think. There's some sort of stigma to debt. But actually, I've always talked about it because I always think I was 30 grand in debt 5 years ago. And I always think I would rather be really transparent about it and know that people who are in debt can get out of debt with my help because I've been there and I've done that, then kind of hide it. And some people have chosen not to work with me because I've been in debt before, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Did you talk about your debt when you were in business?
No, not to start with. So I guess when this was happening to me, the online space wasn't, just wasn't as prominent as it is right now. But like you and I spoke about this earlier, when I was going through all of this, I didn't share it because, I was the one who was, helping people and supporting people. And, it was kind of like, right, I'll just keep that to one side because, people don't need to know that. But as I was mentioning, I think when I came into your space and started working with you, I could see a way, or certainly learn a way, that you can talk about it and talk about it with ease. And it's okay to talk about it because there's far more people going through it than probably I think or we think.
There are
much more, and I talk about it in my book that's coming up, and I talk about it to people now with so much ease. I talk about it at networking, but not before. I think, like you just said, showing and telling people about it, showing them that example, it almost gave me that, okay, it's okay to do this. So
yeah. And I think it's
great.
great.
In the way on that.
Yeah, I just think it's great to be able to do that because, there are mindset coaches that still suffer mindset problems. It doesn't mean that they can't teach other people how to. There are people that have failed at things that have learned from it and now teach people what not to do. I think that all of our experiences are really relevant and don't mean that people can't trust us to work with us. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I would never talk about, the problems I'm having in business, please do, because I think that the more transparent we are, there's so many people who I know that are like 6 and 7 figure businesses that have they don't have the perfect life. There are things going wrong, whether it's health or whether they are in financial difficulty and all of these different things, because you can be a 7-figure business and be in financial difficulty and people don't realize that. And there's so many people going through things and they're not talking about them. They're pretending that everything's perfect. And all that does is alienate people who are looking up to you, who are going through things. So I really great to be transparent.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
You help all these people now, and obviously I've employed you for my mastermind because you're so good at the kind of helping people achieve their goals through accountability.
Yeah.
So you talk about these 3 things: accountability, consistency, and having a plan.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them each in turn, because I think all 3, when it boils down to it, they're the 3 things that got me success. If I look at those 3 things. So when it comes to consistency, what do you mean by that?
So I always starting with the plan and being clear on those actions, but it's taking action consistently, day in, day out, regardless of how small that might be, that helps you then take the steps up the ladder, if you like, to get to that ultimate goal. So those actions could be broken up over 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever that may be. I see time and time again where businesses will give it a go for a week and then don't start seeing results, or don't start, or feel challenged, or feel, oh gosh, that's too hard, and they stop. But actually, once they break through that barrier and keep the consistency, 30, 60, 90 days down the line, that is when they start to see results. And I say to a lot of the businesses I work with, some things will come quicker than others. So you'll start to see something change in a week. But if you stop, you're then not going to see that consistent impact to lead into the results that you want.
Yeah.
It's a day in, day out action. And regardless of how small.
Yeah, I often say to people are like, yeah, but I can't, I'm working 9 to 5, or I'm looking after the kids. And I'm like, what one thing can you do today that will make you feel you've achieved something? Whether it's sending one email, whether it's pitching to one piece of PR, whether it's connecting with one person, what can you do today? One post on social media. Because those tiny little things, they all add up, don't they? And suddenly you look behind you and you're like, oh, I've come quite far from where I was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a lot of business owners, sorry to say this, business owners, but a lot of business owners are winging it. They are absolutely not. And part of the process I use is reviewing and improving at the end of every month. And I think, again, as business owners, they don't take the time to review to see what needs to be improved. So then their consistency wavers again. So those 2 elements can be really key.
Yeah, evaluation is really important. And that is a massive gap, isn't it? When you speak to people who are like, I don't know what's going wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, let's evaluate what you've done and what's worked and what hasn't worked and what could be done better and where you're putting your time and all of those kind of things.
Absolutely. And a lot of businesses don't even recognize what they have done. And when you ask those questions, they go, oh, crikey, yeah, I've actually really achieved a lot. So they need to remind themselves.
Yeah. Let's talk about having a plan. So, I'm a strategy girl. I think it's really important to have that strategy for everything you do in life. I've just literally this week signed off on a a multi-million-pound home. And the reason
Yeah.
I got that home is because I had a strategy for how I was going to get it.
I love
It was a literal step-by-step plan. So how important is planning to you, and how do you think it's best to start? If you've never had a plan, you've never had a strategy, what should you do first?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's really determining what timescale you want to have that plan over. So I think, in the past, a lot of businesses have been like, oh, what's your 3-year vision? What's your 5-year vision? But actually, I think because of the times that we've gone through, a lot of businesses can't really see beyond 90 days. Not really, because they find it too overwhelming. So I always say, even break that down and break that back and just say, over the course of a month, look at what availability you have, where you can fit your clients in, what gaps you've got, and then how you're going to do business development. How are you going to work on your business? So that's always a good starting point, because then you can really start to see where the gaps are and what space you've got to then be working on your business. Because obviously we need to serve our clients first. That's really important. But that's always a good place to start. Normally no longer than a month, really.
We hear that phrase, like, you have to work 50% of the time on your business and 50% in your business, because otherwise you're not growing your business. Do you agree with that, or is there a different figure?
I've always worked probably more 70-30, but I think given the times that we've experienced and the different methods that we can reach our clients and our audience, I think 50-50 is probably more accurate to where you need to be. However, in my experience, there are a lot of businesses not doing that.
Well, there are a lot of businesses not doing 10% on the working on your business.
I was going to say that. I totally agree. It's a lot of things can just be sidelined, or so they're just repeating the same patterns month in, month out.
And it's where feast or famine comes from, doesn't it? Because then you have some clients one month, but because everything we do in our business, generally we see in 4 to 6 months' time the results of those things. So if we're like not doing things now, then in 4 to 6 months we'll go, oh, now why am I not bringing any money in? And it's like, because you didn't do anything to do
exactly. And that's the thing. I help clients who say to me, I want to take the whole of August off. I don't want to work over Christmas, but that doesn't just happen. That is something that's planned 3-6 months out to make sure that the turnover's there, the clients are there, the team are in place, whatever that may be. So it's totally doable, but the plan needs to be in place to help achieve that.
So let's talk about the final piece to it, which is accountability.
Yes.
Which I think is really important. And when we first start in business, we don't have any, and we're used to having some. So when I was in corporate, I had a boss. So a boss would tell me if I'd hit KPIs, and I would get in trouble if I didn't. And then suddenly I'm my own business, and I'm expecting to be able to reach all of these targets, but no one's making me do it. So Netflix is there in the middle of the day, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just take an hour off and do this, or this bit looks hard, I don't really want to do the hard things. Like, how can we keep ourselves accountable? Because I think it's really hard to keep yourself accountable.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I say, like, first and foremost is, like we say, there's distractions and challenges that come in all the time, but we can ask ourselves that question: is this distraction, Netflix, or whatever that may be, is that going to take me towards what I want to achieve or not? So that could be the first thing to go yes or no to that thing. Obviously, it depends how exciting that Netflix program is. But that could be the first thing. It could be
selling Sunset, Niki. And then what we're going to do?
That's a hard one. That is a hard one, because that's good. But, if you've got a plan in place, you can definitely find time in the day to do that. And then, it is having like a daily planner for some people, just seeing, right, what are the absolute priorities I've got to do to help me move towards that goal. And as long as I've done that, I can go and do something for myself. Or I then say a default diary is another good thing to use, because you can just see in bite-sized chunks what you need to be doing and when to help, like, build your business or work with clients. So there's a couple of measures that people can do first and foremost. I absolutely align with that. Like, I think you have to be clear on what are you really passionate about in your business and what do you procrastinate on? Because if there's things that you're doing in your business or trying to do in your business that you procrastinate on, you're just going to like leave it.
Yeah,
you're not going to touch it. And those are the first things I help businesses start to outsource or find a solution. So you can just take it out of your head, and a lot with accountability can be where we're procrastinating first and foremost.
And that's why I think sometimes it's good to have a mentor. Like people often say, well, why do you need a mentor now? Like there can't be much more that you need to know. A, there's always something that I need to know that I don't know. But B, often I use mentors now for accountability. For instance, when I'm on a health kick, I have an accountability coach that comes and asks me what crap I've eaten that day. When I have people have PTs to help them with that accountability. And yet when it comes to business, we think we don't need it. It's like we need it more than anything.
Oh, for sure. And I think, I've been running my business for 8 years now. I spoke about that business coach right at the beginning, and I worked with her for a while. But I had one-to-one coaching and I was in a mastermind. Then I stepped out of that, reviewed what was around. And then that's when I met you and came into your world. But even working with you, I do one-to-one, I do mastermind. And I think it's just what you need and at what stages. And then you, I think, invest to take yourself to that next level. So I firmly believe that regardless of what stage you are in your business, you need that support somehow, some way.
Yeah, well, we can see it. Like you've been in my mastermind, you've worked one-to-one with me in different ways. And like your revenue has blown up. And that's because you've had support. And I think there's nothing wrong with admitting that you need support. I have support in everything I do because it helps that revenue go up, because it gives me some accountability.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been so interesting to talk to you about all the things that you've gone through, and congratulations for being able to pay off that debt, because a lot of people don't get to that point and they're not steadfast enough in their plan to do it. And I think it's really good that you have, and that you can help other people to do the same thing now. So if there's somebody watching that knows they need some accountability and consistency in their lives, where is the best place for them to go and find you?
Absolutely on Instagram as the first place. That is where I've got all my details. So I'm Niki Matyjasik on Instagram. That's Niki with 1K.
Don't worry, we'll put it in the show notes. I'm not going to hope that people remember how to spell your name when I don't even spell it right most of the time.
Yeah, that's fine. A lot of people call me Mrs. M. It's absolutely fine. But yeah, that's absolutely the best place, because that's got all my up-to-date information of what's going on and how I'm working with people.
Brilliant. And thank you for being here. And guys, thank you for listening. As usual, I love talking to you about this stuff. There's so much we can learn from different people's experiences. And I will be back next week with another episode to help you to be able to make money online. Thank you for listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson. If you'd like to get your hands on my brand new book that's coming soon, then you can pre-order now and get lots of juicy bonuses. All you need to do is go to makemoneyonlinebook.co.